I'll be the first one to talk about social media and technology causing major problems with our kids. But I'll also admit that it can't be the only problem, right? It can't be. It can't be the only reason why kids are different and the way we parent is different. Something is going on and our kids are not okay. What is going on? We're going to talk about that today and see if we can figure it out. This is the Better Mental Health for Kids and Parents podcast. All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. This is episode 42. Our kids are not okay. I am Dr. Christopher Fasano, your host of the Better Mental Health for Kids and Parents podcast. Now, in this podcast, we discuss all of the relevant mental health topics and how they affect our youth and those that care for them. All right, guys, mentalstrongkids.com is the website. You're going to find all previous now 41 episodes. I'm really proud that we have that many episodes up there. We've been going strong once a week since we started in October of 2018. Thank you so much for everybody out there that's listening. I hope you're liking the new website. If you haven't checked it out, please check it out. You got more than just podcast episodes. We have articles. I got videos up there. I just put a new page up there dedicated to anxiety. I'm going to start doing more disease-specific pages, depression, ADHD. I'm even going to do one on suicide. So you can go to mentalstrongkids.com/anxiety, and there you're going to find, a video about anxiety, what it is, how it affects us, what's going on, why it's so much more prevalent. There's a quiz up there that I took from, a pretty thorough anxiety quiz. If you answer the question as a parent for your child and you get a score of 9 or more, it'll explain your child may have some sort of anxiety disorder. And it's not meant to be a diagnostic, but it's meant to help stimulate discussion with you and your healthcare provider. So go check that out and let me know what you think. A couple things actually before I get into the episode, I really want you guys to do. So I know that there's a lot of people out there that really enjoy this show. I know that because I can see the people who are listening to it. The numbers keep going up, which I'm thankful for. And I also hear from you, and you tell me that you're enjoying it, and you're telling me topics that you like. So here's what I need. If, for everybody that's listening to this right now, I just want you guys to do this one thing for me. I promise you it'll take 1 minute. On your phone, if you're listening to the show on your iPhone, you can go to I'm pulling it out now for those that are watching me on YouTube. So you can go to the basically on the app where we listen to the stuff, right, on the podcast app, and on it is the page. Right, this is the Better Mental Health for Kids and Parents podcast. I would ask everybody out there to take a minute and leave a review for the show. Okay, you can do it right on the app. Just open it up, scroll to find where it says reviews, write a review, and just leave a review. It really will mean a lot to me, and it will also help elevate the show in the rankings, and that way we can get the show out to more people, okay? So please, if you really enjoy the show and you're listening every week, or you're tuning in sparingly but you really like it, I ask you to take a minute, it will literally take you a minute, to go on there, leave a star review, however many stars you feel, and be great if you can just write a sentence or two about it, okay? Again, you can do it on the podcast app from your phone, whichever app you're using, or you can do it on your computer on iTunes. All right, guys, I really would appreciate that. Follow me on Instagram at mentalstrong. I'm doing a really awesome campaign right now. We'll talk more about that later, about bringing people together over their struggles. I urge you to check that out. It's really, really cool. So please leave a review. Check me out on Instagram. And now let's get into today's episodes with a really sort of ominous title, Our Kids Are Not Okay. All right, and I know it's ominous, and I know it sounds a little much, but I feel that it's true. I do. I feel like something needs to change. I feel like that we're going to talk about why I feel that if you compare it to things have always gotten different, right? Technology, everything has gone different. Parenting styles have gotten different, which is okay. School arguably may not be so different. So today we're going to talk about what is going on, and I'm going to use an article that I read and that actually a friend of mine also texted to me, Jen Spoor. Jen, she's a teacher. She used to be my babysitter back in the day, and she sent me this article and said it was a great read, and I actually had read it already, and I read it again, and I urge you all to do it. And the article is called "We Have Ruined Childhood," and it's by Kim Brooks in the New York Times. I'm going to put the link up to the article in the show notes for everybody to read. All right, so let's begin. Okay, let's talk about why our kids are not okay, and I would love to hear what you guys think. Okay, so in the article in the beginning, it references some statistics. And so you know me as a science guy, I'm going to give you some statistics, okay? So this is coming from the article by Kim. According to the psychologist Peter Gray, children today are more depressed than they were during the Great Depression and more anxious than they were at the height of the Cold War, which I presume was a quite anxious time. And so now in 2019, a study published in the Journal of Abnormal Psychology, which I read, it's a pretty intense study, found that between 2009 and 2017, rates of depression rose more than 60% among those ages 14 to 17, and 47% among those ages 12 to 13. Okay, think about that. 60 and almost 50% in young kids. All right, and what they point out is that it just isn't a matter of diagnoses. This is the number of children and teenagers who were seen in the emergency room with suicidal thoughts or having attempted suicide doubled from 2007 and 2015, okay? So it's not just that they're being diagnosed, it's that they're actually suicidal, either thinking about suicide or taking have suicidal ideations, okay? So now, in addition to this, all right, this was a survey done by Cigna, the health insurance provider, okay, on loneliness. And they found that 46% of Americans report feeling lonely sometimes or always, and 47% report feeling left out sometimes or always, okay? It's a little less, 43% report feeling isolated from others, and that same number report feeling they lack companionship and their relationships lack meaning, which is really, really sad, okay? Only 27% feel they belong to a group of friends. 27%, only 27% feel like they belong to a group of friends. And 24% report they can find companionship when they want it, okay? So it's like 1/4 of the people in this survey feel like they don't have belong to a group of friends and they can't find companionship, okay? 1 in 5 Americans rarely, if ever, feel close to others, and about half report having meaningful in-person social interactions with friends or family on a daily basis, okay? Now, who is this the most strong amongst? Like if you take it by groups of kids or people, adults, feelings of loneliness are worse in the younger generations than the older ones, okay? With Gen Z and millennials reporting higher feelings of loneliness and isolation on their loneliness scale that they have, okay? It says more than half of the Gen Z survey respondents identify with 10 of the 11 feelings associated with loneliness. 10 of the 11, so almost all of them, okay? And about 60% feel left out or isolated from others, according to the report, okay? So let's just take a step back and think about this for 1 second. I threw a whole bunch of numbers at you. You have depression and suicide rates almost doubling over the past 7-8 years, okay? You have young kids in their teens feeling like they have no friends they can go to, feeling like they're not belonging to a group of friends, feeling like they don't have meaningful social interactions with people. What does that all spell? It doesn't spell anything good. It means that they're down in the dumps and they don't know anybody they can go and talk to about it, and they don't have anyone around them that they feel is actually someone that's a companion or a friend. And all of that is troublesome. Okay? I went through a lot of things as a kid, but I never once felt like I didn't have a friend or felt like I was a part of a group of friends. I know there were people that might have been that, but not the majority of people, okay? So what is happening? Why is this? Something has changed. Okay, so the article goes into some of the reasons. I'm going to talk a little bit about what Kim says, but I'm also going to add a little bit about what I think, and just from my experience of reading all this literature and being in this space, okay? So let's talk about why, all right? Again, we talk a lot about social media and technology, and yes, this is definitely a factor, okay? But what Kim explores in this article is really the childhood experience in general, okay? The overall experience of being a child. And she talks about how kids are growing up nowadays and how this creates sort of a sort of I call it the loneliness vacuum for things like technology to fill. Right? So if we're not giving our kids something to do, or they feel like they don't have anything to do or anyone to talk to, they look to things to fill the void. And technology is a natural thing to fill it. It takes up time. It's there. It gives them something to do. So maybe they are not sort of, technology, et cetera, isn't the problem itself, but it exacerbates a problem that already exists. Okay, maybe they have no other choice because there's no human interaction available to them. All right, so what does this mean? All right, so it's well established that kids are suffering from a lack of social skills. We can read this in many different studies that are around, and this can be explained by sort of a lack of opportunity to use them, right? Whether it's because, and this is what she talks about a bunch, and this is what I've noticed, that because parents have become way too overprotective, too helicoptery, and they don't let their kids be more free and independent, or there are just really no places left for kids to go congregate and hang out with other kids, right? What else are kids left to do? When I was growing up, I used to, when I got home from school, or right 2:33, I would be out. I was told to get out of the house, really, and I was out and I was frolicking around, and there was always a place to go, and there was always kids there. And that doesn't happen nowadays, okay? Doesn't happen for a bunch of reasons. We're going to get into them, okay? So there's less opportunity for kids to interact, make friendships, get into arguments, sort of problem solve, and just have childhood experiences, okay? So in addition to this, the demands on parents have significantly gone up. Parents are working more hours, leaving less time for meaningful interaction with, with parents and the kids when they get home, right? So they have a long day at work, they're stressed out, they come home, it's late, they have to get dinner on the table. And so most parents have to send their kids to before care, right? After care, and some sort of camp in the summer, or some sort of camp whenever they have to, kids have off. And this leaves sort of less time, and Kim calls it, for the traditional nuclear family structure, where kids really should be learning their primary social skills, right? From their family, being home, interacting, and having good discussion, okay? So that's going on, right? So if it's not happening at the level of the home, and it's not happening, when they get home and they're outside in their community, what else is there? Let's talk about the schools, right? That's got to be next, because that's where the majority of the day is spent by kids, okay? So what's going on in our schools? Kim brings this up, and I can attest, because I've seen this, and maybe you guys too. Let's talk about kindergarten. Have you guys seen kindergarten nowadays? Any of your kids been in kindergarten? I'm sure they have. When I was in kindergarten, it was a bunch of free time and play. Now it's just like first grade. It's a real school day, and they're getting you ready for first grade. They're getting you ready for all those tests and all those things, okay? Homework assignments in school have significantly gone up, even though there are tons of studies out there to show that they are actually harmful and not beneficial. Standardized tests get pushed. It's all about those test scores. School shooting drills, all like cramming in electives when you get to high school. Got to get all these in because you got to get into college, and all of these things, sort of what Kim points out, replace standard lunch and recess times that you don't think are necessarily very important, but time that really allows for true socialization and interacting, okay? Kids need downtime. They need time to interact. I would say it this way. The world has sort of moved to be keeping kids indoors, right? Kids get home from school. By the time the parents get home, they stay in. We don't want them going out, can't go outside, got to stay here, got to have dinner, can't go out, right? School, less time for recess, less time for lunch, stay inside. So if that's the way the world has become, we can argue and talk about whether it's good or not. But if that's the way the world is, okay, then we need to think about changing the way we approach socialization, in schools, okay? So even if we concede, this is just the way it is, guys. There's just no way around it. Kids can't be outside as much anymore. Okay, I don't know if that's true or not, but let's say that is. Great, what are we going to do about it? Okay, well, they're in school. So let's see what we can do there. Add more recess time. Add some workshops on interacting. Do it at the expense of testing or in lieu of homework. Find a friend. Here's your assignment. Go find a friend. Have a conversation. Learn something about that person that you didn't know before, and come in tomorrow and let's talk about that, okay? I just kind of made that up, but the point is, if this is the way we're going, if we recognize there's a deficit in social skills, we recognize that kids are being corralled and kept indoors, don't just turn on the TV. Don't give them things to fill the vacuum. Let's come up with a way in school to accommodate that. And Kim talks about adding, she talks about consultants who say they want to add like an extra hour during the week at school where kids can just play outside. Do you know how many kids would kill to do that? They'd have no problem going to school a little bit earlier or a little bit later for that. And swap out a class because teachers don't want to be there later. I get it. Take a class out. Make a class social time, okay? I think we need a paradigm shift in how we're dealing with this in schools, okay? So let's do big picture here, right? Let's think about what we're doing. We work. We're parents. We work. We rush kids out the door in the morning. We dump them at a school where the schools are sort of pressured for state funding and the performance measures to achieve certain standardized test scores. They then thus cram work down their throats, minimalize time for interactions, send the kids home where parents get home late. And when they do get home, they're still stressed out from work, on their phones, on their computers. They try to figure out what's going on for dinner. Therefore, they can't keep their eye on their kids. They don't want them to go outside. It's not safe for them to be out there by themselves, so you got to stay indoors. Kids stay home. They can't go outside. No place to go, right? And no one else, because all of the parents are approaching it the same way. No kids in the block or the neighborhood are out. And so therefore, you don't have a sense of community anymore. So there's nowhere for the kids to go or kids to play with. Parents don't want to call other parents to make play date arrangements, etc. Keeps everybody home. Thus, they watch TV. They stay on their phone or iPad until dinner is ready. Dinner is ready. They go to sleep. Okay? Minimal human interaction. The only human interaction they had was maybe on the bus to school or at their 20-minute lunchtime and maybe a short recess. That's it. Okay? Now, I grew up and I had a short lunch and I had a short recess, but when I got home or even on different times of the week, I was out socializing all the time because parents were less likely to keep and corral their kids in the home. In fact, it was the opposite. They wanted them to go out of the home. Okay? So that's not the way it is, I understand. How do we change this? How does it change? Well, I only really see a few ways, okay? The first way I see it is life gets cheaper, cost of living goes down, and therefore there's less of a demand on parents to work as much and so hard, right? So they're not as stressed. They can go back to being home more and thus having those sort of old school communities where parents can go out, neighbors can get together, kids can congregate and play, after school on the weekends. But I can tell you right now, that ain't happening, okay? Life isn't getting cheaper. Cost of living is only going up, okay? We're only going to get more stressed out about work. That's a fact, okay? So what does it leave for us? And this is where I think we live. School day and the school way we approach school must change, has to. And I think this is where we can in fact have the most impact, okay? Like Kim talked about, add more recess, longer lunches, more social interacting workshops, bring in consultants into the district and psychologists who know this research that can help guide the curriculum, okay? Look, we all want smart kids. I want my kid to be a smart kid. I want him to go want to do great things. I want him to go to a great school, really do, great things, get A's and hundreds and 90s and do all these things. But I can tell you what, no one wants to hire a smart kid or a smart human who can't talk with you and look you in the eye, has no social skills. No one wants that, okay? And on top of this, lonely humans in a workplace don't make for a fun, interactive environment. And it will make it easier then to replace humans with artificial intelligence because humans won't be humans, okay? And if you think that's extreme, think about the survey results that I told you at the beginning of the show. 25% of people feel like they have no sort of companion or group of people, belong to a group of friends. Lonely, okay? If you don't think lonely kids being this lonely has an impact on all of these mass murders and shootings we're seeing, I think you're wrong. Those things give people a reason. It's just like radicalization. Terrorists radicalize people that are lonely and feel like they don't have a purpose. And when kids don't have a purpose and they're lonely, they tend to do other things that give them purpose, okay? We have a problem here. We do. And if we don't face it head on, those statistics on depression, loneliness, suicide, they're only going to get worse, okay? So right now, I would suggest you talk to your school. Be involved in the PTA. I'm going to get much more involved this year. Ask how they're working to help social interactions. And as parents, let your kids be more independent. I'm really working on this. I'm really trying hard to call other parents, arranging play dates. One of the things I thought about was to create like a day and a time. So every Wednesday from 4 to 6 or whatever time that is, in my neighborhood, a bunch of kids can come and hang out, and I will be responsible of keeping my eye on them. Okay, and then on Tuesday maybe my buddy up the road, he does it, and we send our kid and we drop them off. Okay, and we just let them be, and we let them play, and we just roll the dice on letting them just figure it out. Okay, I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but it helps tremendously. Okay. And on another episode, I want to talk specifically about teachers and teacher training, because I think we need to educate our teachers differently. I think when you go to school to become a teacher, I think that might mean something different nowadays. I talk to a lot of teachers and they're like, dude, I don't have the time for that. I'm not their psychologist. No, you're not. You're their teacher. But maybe what that means is something different now. Maybe part of your instruction as a teacher and part of your training as a teacher should be to promote social interaction, to incorporate that into your day. Maybe that's what has to happen, okay? Because like I said, parents, okay, they have to work. It's just the way it goes. Everything is way too expensive. And to get their kids into a good district, to buy that house, they're not going to be able to provide an environment and be relaxed about it. It's not safe anymore. Great. So it's got to happen in the schools. Or parents are going to have to make an extreme effort. And I just don't see it happening a lot, okay? So let's think about this, guys. Let's just not run away from it. The statistics are there. The numbers are there. Yes, they are frightening, but we can change it. We can address it, okay? So I would love to hear what you guys think. I would love to hear some strategies you suggest, and I really hope that we can turn this around, because our kids are not okay. Okay, they're not. And we collectively, teachers, administrators, parents, anybody who's taking care of a child, we have a responsibility to not only make sure they're being academically bright and academically intelligent, but socially and emotionally intelligent. And that is harder than getting people to add 2 plus 2. And it's especially harder when we don't give it any time in schools. And when kids come home, they're told to stay in the house and they can't go outside. All right, guys, I appreciate you checking out this episode. Again, I'd love to hear your feedback. Follow me at Mental Strong on Instagram, guys. Please leave a review on iTunes. I really appreciate you guys. We're going to be back for next episode next week. As always, you can watch this on YouTube. Click on the show notes on the page. I am Dr. Christopher Fasano. Thank you guys so much. Don't just be strong. Be mental strong, guys. I'll catch you on the next one.